let's take a group breath here after that. And so as we move into the graduation practitioner ceremony here, today we're celebrating the graduation of our new class of practitioners of truth. This is a much loved and honored role in our organization, and so it's with great love and celebration that we honor the great accomplishment that they have made today. There's not a minister in the room or in the movement who does not see themselves as a practitioner first. It's the active spiritual practice of knowing truth and practicing the presence that it's the foundation of all spiritual work and healing. And so today we honor and celebrate these students who have worked so well to study the art and the craft of the practitioner. And so with us today, we have practitioners from Vision, a Center for Spiritual Living, Universal Spirit Center, the Seaside Center for Spiritual Living, the Riverside Community Center for Spiritual Living, the Global Heart Online Practitioner Class of 2011, and Corazon Global from Tijuana, Mexico. And so it's my honor to introduce Reverend Dr. Christian Sorensen, who will be giving the call to practitioners today. Reverend Dr. Christian is the director of the Holmes Institute, San Diego Regional Center here, and the senior minister of Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. He is celebrating his 20th year here at Seaside. And he's served in ministry for just about 30 years, right? We're just about at 30 years. And Christian knows the power of this philosophy as he's demonstrated within this spiritual community and in his life. He comes from a lineage of ministers and was raised in religious science. And he's seen the great effects a practitioner can have as he watched his mother, Reverend Jackie, in her full-time practitioner practice. He's a wonderful man to work for if you ever have the opportunity, and an amazing support for all of those who are being called to leadership and to ministry. And so we welcome him forward to deliver the call to the practitioners today.
Wow. Congratulations, what a moment. And I want to call you to remember above all things is to do your practice. Practice, practice, practice. The goal is not perfection, it is practice. And the mystical life is not a race to the finish line, but rather a readiness to receive the wonderful revelations of the divine, the divine impress and imprint that will lift you ever higher so you have a new perspective and a higher view. I'm caught kind of in an older generation where I used to get my movies from Blockbusters. And they've closed down around here, and so I'm being forced into what I'm being told is a cooler way to get your movies delivered to your front door, and that's through Netflix. And I haven't done it yet. But what I'm told is you're given a login password, and you go there, and there's a queue of all the movies that you have ordered, and you send one back, and you get the next one that's on top. And when you send that one back, you get the next one on top. But this is the part I like, that if all of a sudden there's a new movie you want, there's a button that says go to the top of the queue, and you press it, and all of a sudden, boom, it goes right to the top, and everything else goes down one. And I am thinking that's just like life and us as practitioners, that no matter what we have done in the past and what we have put out there and what we have ordered, at any moment you have the login to put in a new picture. A new perspective. You can move it to the top of the queue, the top of your order list. But what you'll find in your practitioner work is that people will come into your office, dragging with them their past. They're living in the cemetery of what's on the bottom of their queue, and they're looking for healing to heal the pains and the emotions of the past. But the soul lives in the present moment, yet the prayers they want for the future, so your emotions are in the past, the prayers are for the future, and yet the soul's in the present moment. That's just too many time zones to deal with. Yeah. You know, trying to pray for the past is like getting God to raise the dead. But what happens is the people that will sit before you oftentimes when they come into your office because they don't know better, they're really looking for a crime-solving session with you. And I'm calling you not to fall prey to that, because they want to go in and figure out what happened in the past that really messed them up today. And it's almost as if there's a witch hunt going on there, because they want to be able to point their fingers at the person or the situation that is responsible for their dysfunction or their challenge or the difficulties that are going on in their life. And it's easy to slip into playing like that. But I will tell you that crime-solving sessions and witch hunting doesn't heal. Even though the mind loves the feeding frenzy of the facts so it can have righteous anger as to why it's where it is, but the mind cannot heal the matters of the heart and the soul. And what you're dealing with is the soul and the spirit of the individual, and I charge you and I call you to remember that is what you're working with, because you will be tempted with the different modalities out there. Hey, it's the energy work, Christian. You get that bright picture in your head and you send the energy there and boom, and then it's healed and it's wonderful. That's kindergarten stuff. You're dealing with spirit and pure spirit. And the mind cannot heal what's going on in the heart and the soul. And you're charged and called to remember that what you're dealing with is far greater than what your mind can figure out in any kind of place. What you get to do is bring the presence of God into the moment and experience that presence where there can be nothing else. When there is spirit and nothing else, you don't need to do the battle. You don't need to fight whatever that challenge or that situation is. You do your prayer and you say amen, and your responsibility is done. God's job now is to execute and to follow through. And it knows how, let me assure you, quicker than it took you to mess things up. Now, I grew up in a house that is the same house as forever. Even after I left, my parents still lived there. It was like a big old farmhouse out in the valley. It has basements and it had attics. And the 20 years I lived there, my dad said, I'm never going to be able to move out of here because we have crammed so much junk in that attic. We have been packing away for 20 years, all that stuff up there. I could never imagine having to move from this place. 40 years later, he moved down here and he was almost just incapacitated with the concept of emptying out that attic with 40 years of stuff. So Callie, my brother, and I one morning went up there, and we have a window. It's kind of like a barn, where it's right at floor level. The day we moved in, my parents put bars on that window so little Christian wouldn't fall out of the second story. Well, what we did is we kicked out those bars and we went into the attic and we started shoveling out all the junk. And literally out that second story window, out went old magazines, old cracked pictures, rusted lamps, broken tables, old Christmas ornaments, things I don't even know what they were. It would have been a picker's dream to have been able to go through that 40 years. But what was interesting is by about lunchtime, we were sweeping out the attic's last remnants off the floor. It took us 4 hours to get rid of 40 years of junk. And I share this story with you because it doesn't have to take a long time to clean up years and years of messes. That you can heal in 4 hours what took 40 years to generate and create by the mistakes and the challenges and the dysfunctions and the bizarre concepts and the pains or whatever it is, that you can hold to that concept. That spirit is moving here and that spirit is powerful and it can transcend the limitation of time. It doesn't matter how long it took you to create a situation in your life. Spirit can move through swiftly, eradicate, neutralize, dissolve it, and have you rise up triumphant. And I charge you and I call you to remember that you are dealing in a fertile garden where you can plant new seeds at any time, that you can put a new picture at the top of the queue that will push back anything. You don't have to live in the cemetery of the past, but you can step in and have a new perspective. And as you are stretched in your perception of the farthest reaches of the cosmos, it is hard to return to the old life and the old way of being. And that's what people come to you for. They don't have to come to you just because they have pain and hurt, but it's because maybe they saw something that disturbed their regular sense. If somebody gets a ticket or they get in an argument, they need to talk it over with somebody. It's kind of disturbing. Now imagine if all of a sudden that one had the mystical perception that saw the farthest reaches of the cosmos, a perception that entered the timeless realm. It would be difficult to return back to your body in the ordinary manner and perception you previously had. And your practice can be assisting people whose lives not are only whole and perfect, but are on that leading edge. And you can only do it if you're doing your practices. And practice, and practice. As you continue, Elizabeth Barrett Browning said, the gifts of God puts man's best dreams to shame. My mom, who used to see 40 practitioner clients a week for 30 years, used to tell me, Christian, don't pray short. Don't pray short. Too many people are just praying short. They come into the sessions and they've got a concept of what they want healed and how they want it healed. You know, they want the doctor to do this healing, or they want to get a 27 cents an hour raise so they can feel comfortable in their life. Remember, they are coming to you because you're able to see outside into a new terrain and new possibilities. They are asking for that which is a little stretch for who they are. But you are the professional who practices in those outer realms of consciousness that know that we're dealing with unlimited possibilities. Not that there's anything wrong for doctors to heal. It is a wonderful expression of God. Or to have raises. I like that. But you know what? There is greater possibilities that the mind knows not of. And when you're willing to step into that place of that spirit and have a little higher vision, you can have one of those mystical moments, that just puts a bolt or a shock wave or voltage through you where your kundalini lights up, you are repatterned, reordered, and all of a sudden flushed out of from the darkness and the unresolved stuff. There is a freshness, there is a lightness. You expand beyond the limitations of your rational mind. You move beyond the bounds of the logic and reason. You are now suspended in a weightlessness because you have suspended fear. So maybe that's a signature of the mystical moment or experience that you can have if you practice, practice, practice. So I want to end with a couple lines from Rumi. And you prac students, he's masterful in using his prayers and words in the first person, the I form. So he wrote, you have no idea how hard I've looked for a gift to bring you. Nothing seemed right. I mean, what's the point of bringing gold to the gold mine or water to the ocean? Everything I came up with was like taking spices to the Orient. It's no good giving my heart and my soul because you already have these. So, I brought you a mirror. Look at yourself and remember me. God bless you.